to Pursue the Pull, the podcast that is geared towards helping people who want a career change, or for those who want to work for themselves, or for those who want to set up their own business. Now, how do we differ from all of the other inspirational podcasts? Well, we interview people from a range of different industries. So if you want to set up your own marketing agency or restaurant or floristry, whatever it might be, we have someone specific from that industry who will tell you where and how to start, the highs and the lows, and most importantly, the truth. So we are one group, one community, and we have all of the answers. Now, I am your host, Stacey Bevan, and today I have an amazing guest. So I am joined with the one and only Ramona Depares, who is the founder of a self-branded business that specialises in content writing and management. So first of all, thank you for joining us, Ramona. We really appreciate the insight that you're about to give us.
Thank you so much, Stacey, for this opportunity. I'm so excited to share what I do with you.
We are excited also. Okay, so before we actually go into the questions that have been devised by our audience, I just want to give a bit of background into what you do and your company. So you are a veteran on the journalism and iGaming landscape, and you launched the business on a full-time basis last December, and you service a variety of verticals that range from media houses to print magazines, luxury brands in the hospitality and fashion industry, gambling operators, software providers, and affiliation companies. You currently provide clients with the following services: so content writing across various sectors, content management, creation of SEO briefs, on-page SEO optimization, and also website management. You also have a non-monetized lifestyle portal that is used mainly for lead generation and as a training site for some students that you have. Although your business started out as a one-woman powerhouse, the reputation built across 2 decades, which meant that it took less than 3 weeks to reach a full capacity. And at that point, the business was faced with 2 options: start turning away clients or scale up. Great position to be in. You chose the latter, of course, and you kicked off a collaboration effort to start managing a pool of freelancers, writers, and pairing them up with the right client. However, it was also immediately clear that there was a huge gap in the market in terms of qualified content writers, which I know very well, who take a professional approach to the brief and who are equipped with the necessary tools. Now, this led to the founding of a parallel branch of the business, mentorship and training, and you are currently working with a few hand-picked budding writers offering 360-degree coursework in digital content requirements such as on-page SEO, keyword research, and link building. Now, outside of this, you are a best-selling author of 3 books, and you are also a multi-award winning journalist and received the award for Best Cultural Journalism in 2015 and Best Opinion Writer in 2014 from the Institute of Maltese Journalists. So that is fantastic. And, you know, I can't wait to get started on this. So I'm just going to jump into the first question. So can you give us a little bit of background? You know, was you working full-time before this? How did you even start this business or know that this was what you wanted to do? So can you just tell us about this transition period and where it all began?
Well, I guess you could say that I'm the sort of person who always had a bit of a side hustle going on. So although in reality I've been full-time employed for most of my life, I was always looking to do these extra kind of things. So I would have maybe some magazine interviews going on. I edited different lifestyle magazines. I was writing books. It was kind of, I always felt that it was not enough, just clocking in 8 to 5 and then I don't know, what else do you do then? So, I mean, I remember when I was a student, I was already getting in touch with media houses, trying to get them to publish my first features, which took a while. I mean, I must have sent out dozens of write-ups, interviews, features. One fine day, it must have been a slow news day, and I got a reply from the Times. From then on, I've always been writing regularly on my own steam, which helped when it came to the transition because the culture shock and I was pretty much building on to what I had already been doing. It wasn't that I It wasn't that I suddenly there was a 180 degree turn. So I have worked in journalism and in content management most of my life. And there came a point when I realized that I was kind of refusing projects that I was interested in. Because obviously, when I had a managerial full-time role, so it was difficult to juggle everything. And at a certain point, I decided, you know what? I don't want to refuse doing things that I love anymore. And maybe it's time that I take the plunge and be brave, because it does require quite a bit of bravery, and take this upon myself on a full-time basis. I guess the transition happened organically, like I said, because I was I was doing all these things for a smaller level of client anyway, and then I just took it to the next level and committed, focused, and figured, yeah, this is what I want to do really.
Wow. And did you always know that you were eventually going to go and work for yourself? Or did it just kind of happen? Or did you think, I'm in full-time employment, I'll continue to do this? What was your thought process at the time?
Well, in all honesty, I have always felt that I should have my own full-time business because my work ethic is very well suited to that. So I don't have issues with procrastination, for instance. And this is the thing. When you start out working as a journalist, you learn very fast to be independent and proactive and work on your own steam because, hey, you have to make the stories happen. You can't wait around for the editor to tell you, why don't you do that or the other? So it's a kind of very much a mentality that was ingrained in me from a very young age, you could say. And I always had this wish, let's call it. But for some reason, it took me a while to get there. I mean, the reason also was that I was enjoying the roles that I had. I worked with some lovely companies. I had some amazing teams to run. I had fantastic colleagues. So it wasn't that I was unhappy, but I always figured, I think there's more that I can do.
Okay, and when you actually took that step and done that transition, did you have a plan? Did you require any initial investment? Like, how did that happen exactly, that transition from full time to then going straight into working for yourself?
Well, I think I saw the light pretty abruptly because there was a period of time, like spread over maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks last November, when I was really refusing a lot of projects. And every time I refuse something, I'm like, damn, I really wish I could have done that. And then there comes a point when you realize you're refusing so much work that honestly, what was I waiting for? So I guess the plan kind of presented itself in a way. And once I made the decision, I reached out to all those clients who had been contacted me and I had been kind of not putting off, but I had been prevaricating. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do this. Are you still up for it? And it was suddenly, I mean, it was full steam ahead, very, very, very fast.
Wow. Okay. And is there any kind of inspiration that you saw in terms of, did you watch any videos or anything that, was that you used as kind of a guide or to motivate you?
Well, I am active in a lot of communities.
Oh,
So I'm always following these, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on a personal level via cultural associations, via gaming companies getting together. And you kind of do get inspired by seeing that other people in your same position have taken the plunge and have made it work. So you start thinking, okay, if look, they have some very good tips. They had a very good plan and I can try and do the same. I mean, I do consume a lot of online content, whether it's workshops, masterclasses, videos on LinkedIn, I love following the Guardian UK in terms of creative writing because there's always some excellent masterclass going on. And then there are the SEO workshops, of course. I mean, I follow Search Engine Roundtable religiously because you immediately know what Google's been up to that can maybe affect your client ranking. So you can kind of preempt, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
So it's a mix of technical inspiration and more creative writing inspiration, let's call it that. But yes, it does motivate you when you see other people succeeding, other people breaking boundaries, and you figure out, hey, let's aim for the stars, you know?
Yeah, yeah, of course. And during the period when you started going it alone, have you had any challenges that you've had to overcome? And if so, how did you overcome that?
I suppose the initial challenge that goes through everyone's mind is the financial aspect. So,
Yes.
more specifically, in fact, I believe you asked it, do I need to invest?
Yeah.
Because you're trying, you don't necessarily have access to seed funding or whatever. I am fortunate because content happens to be one of those areas where, and like I said, I started on my own, where you don't need to overshoot. If you have a strong high performance laptop and a very, very good smartphone, you can start out right there.
Yeah.
And then you can continue adding on the investments with apps, equipment, tools, and whatever gradually without having to necessarily, I don't know, spend a ton of money from the get-go.
Yeah.
So from a writer's perspective, I guess it's easier maybe than other industries because
Mm,
you can control it better.
okay.
But of
Okay.
course, now that I'm developing the business and that I'm scaling up, it's a bit of a different story. I mean, making my mentorship program work out it requires an outlay because there are course materials, there's videos to be done, there's equipment to be bought. So yes, there is an element of expenditure and investment now. However, I do believe that as long as you do it gradually and step by step, you don't try to outrun yourself, so to speak, and you have
Yeah.
a plan, there's nothing to fear, honestly.
Yeah. And did you have, because one of the things that we find is that it's quite scary. I think you mentioned it earlier, going from a full-time position into your own business. So how did you overcome that fear? Because this is something that a lot of people struggle to do. They have a lot of self-doubt, they get scared, and they're like, oh, so how did you conquer that, if you like? How do you overcome that fear?
I totally had that. I mean, I did spend some sleepless nights wondering because the issue is when you're used to getting a regular salary at the end of the
Mm,
month, it's there and you do not have to worry about it. When
yeah.
of course, when you're working, when you're running a business, cash flow might be a problem at some point. There might be issues with payments. There might be clients who take a bit longer to pay up. So yes,
Yes.
that is a very real worry. I conquered it by doing a lot of background research into the financials and also by making sure that I had a few months kind of, let's call it a nest egg to fall on should things not pan out exactly as I had planned. Because, hey,
Yeah.
life, I mean, doesn't always work out perfectly.
Yeah.
However, I figured that even if things don't go perfectly for the first few months and it takes a bit to build up and there's no steady income coming in at first, I know that I'm covered for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, once you have a plan and a plan B and a plan C, and I had those, then you start worrying a bit less and figuring, okay, let's focus on making it work rather than expecting it to fail, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Okay, that sounds good. I like the plan B, plan C approach. That sounds really good, actually. And I just want to ask because a lot of people are still struggling to know what it is they want to do. They haven't identified their passion, if you like. How did you know that this was something that you wanted to get into? How did you identify that this was a passion of yours?
Well, I suppose I was a late bloomer in all honesty, because
Okay.
I'm actually a lawyer by profession, and
Ah, okay.
I hated it. I mean, it's a very interesting area as a profession, it's a very interesting area, but it was not what I wanted to do. And I mean, I guess deep down, I always realized when I was a student, fun fact, I used to sell essays to those who didn't feel like doing their homework. So I'd be there scribbling three alternative versions and then sell them
Oh,
out. or exchange them for, sweets or snacks or whatever. So maybe the hustle for
Exactly.
writing, I mean, I should have, I think the universe was trying to tell me something even at a young age, honestly.
Yes, yes, I can see it. I can see that. Okay, and so this is kind of the most important question I think that a lot of people want to know. You've given some great advice already, but what advice would you give to people? So there's two parts to this question. What advice would you give to people who wanted to start their own company? And then what advice would you give to people who wanted to do exactly what it is that you're doing?
Okay, I honestly am a very big believer in having the plan B and the plan C.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're thinking of this, plan ahead and make sure that you have alternative routes to follow if things don't go as planned. So in my case, plan A was the actual business idea. Plan B was it's fine if I'm not getting any income at first because I have a certain amount of savings that can last me through. Plan C was giving myself a cutoff date where if I'm not seeing any scope for the business to grow, then I would return to full-time employment because it's not a life sentence. As in, even if you try out your own business idea and it does not work out, it's not the end of the world. You can go back to full-time employment. You can come up with another project in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever. There's no time limit to this. That's the
It's
beauty of
not,
it.
yeah.
So even if you get a bit of a setback, it's not tragic. You can just go back, chill, take some time for yourself, and then give it another go. Really, I mean, that's my top go to advice, I guess. But of course, you need to make sure that you've started networking, you've started reaching out to people, and I found that one of the things I am very grateful for is that I always had excellent relationships with my former employers. So they form the bulk of my current clients, the employers I've worked with before, the companies, the
Yeah.
media house. They all, as soon as they realized I was doing this, everyone was giving me work. So it's very important that even if you decide full-time employment is not for you, do not burn any bridges. I guess that applies to everything.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. That is it's true. And what if they wanted to go into doing exactly what you do? What advice would you give them?
Well, if someone's starting out as a freelance writer on their
Hmm.
own, I would advise them to make sure that they have their knowledge is on point. So
Okay.
basically, whether we are talking SEO, whether we are talking digital trends, whether we are talking writing capacity, everything has to be on point. It's a very competitive market, and although everyone seems to be thinking that AI will kill the profession, in reality, it's doing anything but. AI is only a tool that we can use to help us, but if our skills are on point, the work is definitely there because there's such a lack of great content writers. And
Yeah.
I mean, please get in touch with me. Anyone who would like to start, freelancing, please do
Yeah.
get in touch with me. I will be happy to guide you according to your level. I can even mentor. I will put you in touch with clients, and it's honestly, the world is our oyster.
Oh, that's incredible. No, that's amazing. Look, you have been incredible. Thank you so much for doing this interview. I know that there's a lot of people that are really interested in your area in particular. So, and they're kind of like, how do I do it? How do I get into it? How do I scale up? So, you've given some amazing advice. So I just want to thank you for joining us today. And look, if we can, we'll get you back another time and go through more because, everything that you say is so interesting. So thank you so much. And it was great to
Thank
have
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, Stacey. Bye bye.
Goodbye. Bye.